what would be your top 3 methods that you would suggest people to optimize their performance? And I'm dropping performance as a term very, very loosely, but let's say mental performance. What would be the top 3 protocols or top 3 methods that you would have seen experientially that one can actually think about as we summarize this?
Okay, so I have a whole bunch, but I'll try and pick a couple.
Yeah.
That heart rate variability biofeedback, no doubt. And that could be just downloading an app like Cardia with a K, Cardia deep breathing, and actually ignore the term deep breathing. Watch my video because I show you how to do it. You're not deep breathing, you're breathing long and slow. If you breathe too deeply, you're actually going to mess up the CO2 and oxygen balance in your brain, and you're going to feel dizzy and yawn over and over again. Because it's not just a state effect, like it doesn't just change you right there. It has, research shows, if you do this about 4 to 6 weeks, 20 to 40 minutes a day, and you don't have to do this for the rest of your life, you can cut it way back after that. Your vagal tone changes and your baseline level of HRV goes up for most people if you're doing it correctly. And you become, what that really means is you still have the same reaction. If someone fired a gun outside our offices here, we'd both get the same stress response as always. But what would happen is how quickly your nervous system recovers. In other words, how quickly your parasympathetic nervous system, the brake, the rest digest system kicks in, will become much faster. Instead of 10 minutes, it comes in 2 minutes without you even doing the breathing at that moment. That would be the number one physiological strategy. The number one psychological or another psychological strategy would be this. The biggest problem, the least successful people make their decisions about what to do themselves every day based on their moods, based on their energy levels, based on what their mind says they can and cannot do, and their circumstances. The most successful people, they make their decisions about what to do themselves, not based on their moods, not based on their energy levels, not even based on what their mind says they can and cannot do. They base it on their goals and values. And to do that, it's easier said than done, but you have to know what are my goals and values. And you have to have your reasons why, and you have to prepare. I was working with someone this morning, and I was teaching him a meditation strategy, and we had to go over. He says, "I'll do it every day at noon." I said, "That's not good enough. Just say you're going to do it every day at noon. At least you're giving a time. That's good." But what happens when the famous philosopher Mike Tyson says everyone has a plan until you're punched in your mouth, right? So when noon comes and you're tired, or there's a pressing email, and these things pop up, what are you going to do? You're going to go back to your default. I got to do this email. I'm too tired. Your brain's going to come up with 100 excuses, because the number one motivator for all humans and animals is a reduction of uncomfortableness, which is part of the limbic system, which is not really much of a thinking part, has no forward vision, which the prefrontal lobe, frontal cortex is where our goals and values are. That's what makes us human. And basically, you have to have a list. Why did I say I was going to do this again? Why did I say at noon I was going to meditate for 10 minutes every day? And you have to look at that list to remind you, because your limbic system is going to want you not to do it because it doesn't want to feel uncomfortable. That sounds painful and boring. Why would I want to do this? And so you got to look at the list. What are the good things that'll happen down the road if I do this? And what are the bad things that'll happen if I don't do this? So that's probably the number one psychological strategy to get yourself to do things you don't feel like doing, because that is the key to health, to success, to making money, to academics, to relationships, everything. If you cannot get yourself to do things even when you don't feel like doing them, you're going to be in trouble. I mean, you could do neurofeedback and train your brain. That audio-visual entrainment I was saying we can do to really enhance meditation. I think that would be a good neurological strategy. And this is, of course, not including things like you better be exercising every day, or at least almost every day. What's good for your brain? What's good for your heart is good for your brain. We know that going for a run or doing exercise is pretty much equivalent to taking Prozac and Ritalin. So Prozac is an antidepressant, increases serotonin. It's a misnomer. It's not an antidepressant. It's an anti-negative emotionality and increasing your feeling of satisfaction. That's what generally serotonin does. And the dopamine effect you get from the exercise as well is what almost every ADHD medication does, increases dopamine availability in your brain. And what does that do? It makes you interested and motivated to pursue potentially rewarding things. It's not a pleasure molecule. That's bullshit. That's not really what it does. It doesn't make you feel pleasurable. It makes you want to search out things that might be pleasurable. Right. And so it makes you attracted to things. So you got to be careful what you do. So if you open up your Facebook or something like this and you're supposed to be working, you do a quick run and you come in here, you're going to get super attracted to whatever that is. So you want to make sure that you engineer your environment, that you have the thing that you wanted to work on ready to go. And there's like 100 things like this. This is what I work with my clients like every day, basically, is how to get yourself to do things. You have to understand how the brain works, how your physiology works, how your psychology works. And once you understand that, and you have the language to describe this, then you have a chance to, in a way, game your own system or game the system. Now you know the rules of the game, and you can get yourself to do things that are important, that are going to bring you towards what you need to, what you want, your goals and your values.
So tools aside, I think the fact that you mentioned that it's your environment, either you control it or you get controlled by the environment, right? There are only two scenarios. You can be driven by your brain and your physiology, or you can actually control, you can ignore these and basically go beyond and above. That's very, very motivational. So many knowledge bombs, so many new things to try out. And I'm sure I'm going to try, I've been noting these down. I would love to try each one of these out and see how can I use these to improve performance and to do this in a measurable way.